Just when you thought you could turn your back and walk away, the dark cloud of human indignity follows you. You have no choice but to turn and look it in the eye. It's the sex offender hit list.
County is accused of sex crimes and having inappropriate relationships with multiple minors. Nathaniel Ham is charged with 10 counts of third-degree sexual exploitation of a minor and indecent liberties. Deputies say back in September, Ham was having an inappropriate relationship with a minor. In October, deputies searched his home where they found electronic devices. He was arrested and charged with indecent liberties with a minor and second-degree exploitation of a minor. After deputies reviewed what was on the devices they found, they charged him with the 10 counts of third-degree sexual exploitation of a minor related to more victims, not the original victim.
In just the span of a week, 2 teachers in Polk County are facing charges of inappropriate behavior with children. A 21-year-old private school teacher in Lakeland was arrested and was in court today. Fox 13's Carla Byron reports on what led detectives to the suspects.
Contributing to the delinquency of a minor.
21-year-old Ramir Jones is a 5th through 8th grade teacher at Preparing the Way Academy, a private school in Lakeland.
When you're in a position of authority over them, it makes it much, much worse.
Polk County deputies say he met a teenager who was on probation and who had cut her monitor off. The sheriff says the victim is a runaway 15-year-old girl who Jones was hiding inside his home. He's accused of sending text messages to her, grooming her for sex.
He let us in the house again, and we found her in his bed. Did you hear what I said? I didn't stutter. In his bed.
Although the sheriff says there's no evidence they engaged in sex at this time, he was arrested for multiple felony and misdemeanor charges.
But it's the week for teachers.
The recent arrest comes less than a week after the arrest of 33-year-old Jerron Dunn, a substitute teacher at New Beginnings High School, a charter school in Lakeland. He's accused of sending long sexual text messages and videos of himself to 2 students on Snapchat. Since his initial arrest, the sheriff says he has been rearrested.
But we got 2 more people that came forward, and he was rearrested for having sex with a 20-year-old who was his student. That's against the law.
The sheriff says the 2 men were supposed to show appropriate leadership for children, but did the opposite.
Both of these fail the community, fail their schools, fail the parents whose children they were entrusted to, and they're going to be held accountable.
In Polk County, Carla Byron, Fox 13 News.
Jones's bond was set at $50,000. If released, he is to have no contact with children. Fox 13 reached out to Preparing the Way Academy for comment, and we have not heard back.
They're investigating a report of a possible sexual assault on a 4-year-old child at a school. Angela Longuet, police say it was the child's parents who contacted them.
Caroline, police say they were contacted after the child was taken to Charles Lemoyne Hospital on Wednesday, where they were treated for injuries believed to have been caused by an assault at the child's school. Now, in a statement, the Marie-Victorin School Service Center says it has filed a report with Youth Protection. We are cooperating fully with the investigation, and the person against whom the allegations were made was removed from our establishment on the same day. And in a brief statement, the Education Minister's office writes, "We are disturbed by the reports. We cannot comment further as a police investigation is underway."
A woman from Ava charged with child sex trafficking is entering a guilty plea. Shauna Ross is set to be sentenced in February. She entered an Alford plea in court, meaning she doesn't admit that she committed the crimes, but acknowledges that there's enough evidence to convict her. Ross is accused of allowing or facilitating sexual activity between 2 underage girls and 2 men also charged in connection with her case.
Right now this morning, an Armstrong County man is in jail, accused of raping a girl over the course of 7 years. Really disturbing details from state police, who arrested 29-year-old Corey Botelho on Friday. According to investigators, the girl was only 8 years old when the alleged assaults began, and the latest incident was just reported last weekend. He faces nearly 50 criminal charges and remains in the Armstrong County Jail on $100,000 bond.
All right, really quick here. Let me show you something. Where's this guy at? Okay. He's wearing a sheriff's uniform. Yeah, he's a former sheriff's deputy. Another thing I'd like to tell you, he is a Little League soccer coach, or shall I say was. Come on, news, get with it.
Right now, breaking news. Police in Senatobia, Mississippi have arrested a man on child molestation charges. They say the alleged incident happened Monday. After an investigation, 28-year-old Jalen Wooten was arrested and booked, and his bond was set at $125,000. Authorities say more charges are possible.
A former Springville teacher could spend 10 years behind bars for allegedly exchanging sexually explicit girl. Frank Noeson, a fifth grade teacher from Springville Griffith Schools, is under arrest facing a child pornography charge. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the FBI received a complaint in March that Noeson was communicating with the girl who lives in New Hampshire since August of 2022. Prosecutors say Noeson told her to send photos and videos that are considered child pornography. On April 21st, the Buffalo FBI seized Noeson's cell phone and found multiple sexually explicit conversations, including photos Noeson sent to the teen of himself. He's due back into court May 2nd.
A Mississippi woman was arrested in West Alabama last week after investigators found child pornography on her phone, according to court records. In a deposition filed Friday, police said they received a tip that in late November, around 24 videos depicting child sexual abuse material had been downloaded to a device in the 205 area code. The tip led police to Noelle Lynn Savage, who was listed in court records as a resident of Starkville, Mississippi. Deputies contacted Savage at a residence in Bull Friday and took her to the Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Office. There, documents say Savage waived her Miranda rights and confessed to using her phone to find and download child sexual abuse material. Investigators charged the 20-year-old with one count of possessing obscene material of persons under 17. Savage was booked into the Tuscaloosa County Jail Friday and released on bond on Monday, unfortunately.
Milwaukee police have arrested 5 men accused of being child predators, and police say there could be more victims. The men were arrested last week as a part of a sting operation. Police say the suspects had contacted investigators who were posing online as underage boys and girls. We're told they were arrested when they showed up to meet the teens for sex.
First tonight, Bloomington police arrested 34-year-old Anthony Love for predatory criminal sexual assault. Love faces 2 counts of predatory criminal sexual assault of a victim under 13 and 1 count of attempted sexual assault. If convicted, each charge carries a minimum sentence of 6 years in prison. According to court records, he is expected to be arraigned on December 28th.
In Beauregard Parish, a man is accused of a number of sex crimes, including sexual abuse of an animal. The Beauregard Parish Sheriff's Office says it arrested Richard Morales December 5th. He's charged with 50 counts of pornography involving juveniles and 4 counts of sexual abuse of an animal. Bond has been set at a little over $500,000.
The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children helps protect kids. Child sex trafficking is when someone under 18 is advertised, solicited, or exploited through commercial sex acts. You can report child sex trafficking to the National Cyber Tip Line or call 1-800-THE-LOST. NCMEC refers to child porn as child sexual abuse material, since victims often suffer re-victimization every time an image of their abuse is viewed. NCMEC officials also warn against sextortion, where children are often threatened or blackmailed over sexual images of them. The Cyber Tip Line is the place to report child sexual exploitation. That's NCMEC. Visit report.cybertip.org to report any incidents of child exploitation. Thank you.
A Jacksonville man has been sentenced to 11 years behind bars for stalking a child online last year. Now, we were talking about it. He's right here on your screen, Chase Mills. Now, he was texting an undercover Siloam Springs Police Department officer, and according to them, he had coordinated to meet up with the 14-year-old girl who was actually that officer. Now, he is 33 years old. He was arrested back in September, and he was talking to someone who was posing as that 14-year-old girl. Again, he did plead guilty to the charge, and he drove to a lake in Siloam Springs where he had arranged to meet the girl for sex. When he was met by police, he was arrested, and along with the sentencing, he is also required to register as a sex offender and complete a treatment program.
Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. Behind your back. Do not move. Do not move.
Drop what you got.
Drop everything in your hand. Everything in your hand. Drop it.
Let me drop it.
Drop it. Alright. You got anything on you that's going to get you in trouble, weapons or anything like that?
No.
So while we're waiting on a patrol car, do you have any reason or any inkling what's going on?
Not really.
You don't have the slightest clue why you're being arrested right now or why you have an open warrant?
I did not have an open warrant.
Okay. You do have an open warrant. And you are,
I didn't know.
It's a no bond status warrant. It means you can't bond out. Okay? That's why you're under arrest. That's why everybody's out here and all this other stuff. So you have no inkling of why you are in pair handcuffs standing out here in the cold.
Is it because of text messaging?
Because of text messaging. You want to talk about that?
I got it.
And is charged with sexually assaulting a child under the age of 12. Bryce Castor is sitting in the Cass County Jail facing a felony for child molestation. The Cass County Sheriff's Office says that it is looking into accusations made by a child in Freeman, Missouri. For now, Castor is being held on a $250,000 bond.
Muskogee County, Georgia. The Muskogee County Sheriff's Office investigator has been arrested on child sexual abuse material related charges. Muskogee County Sheriff Greg Countryman said on Saturday that investigator Corey Joseph Brand, this guy here, he was arrested in Russell County and charged with possession of the intent to disseminate child sexual abuse material. This type of criminal behavior is absolutely unacceptable, Countryman said. We will continue to work in collaboration with our federal and local partners on this case. This is still an ongoing investigation that may result in more criminal charges. Countryman did not elaborate on the investigation and what led to the discovery of the material, as this investigation is still ongoing.
A Manitoba couple is in prison after being convicted of sexual crimes against children in the Dominican Republic. The husband and wife were missionaries in the island country working with children when investigators discovered the assaults during a raid on their home. Standing by with the details for us is CTV's Taylor Brock. Taylor, what happened here?
Well, prosecutors in the Dominican Republic say that Adam and Tracy Pepper sexually assaulted 2 children and threatened one if they spoke out about the abuse. Now, a child sexual assault expert that I spoke with today says that there are red flags to watch out for if you think your child might be being abused. Adam and Tracy Pepper, a couple who once lived in the Steinbach area, have been found guilty of sexually assaulting and threatening children in the Dominican Republic. According to Adam's Facebook page, the two had been in the Dominican Republic periodically since 2018, doing missionary work.
During that time, we hope to use our gifts and skills to love, support, and build relationships with the children and their families.
A police investigation in the Dominican Republic in early 2021 began when one of the children's mothers made a report about images found on a cell phone given to her by Adam Pepper. On it, the mother saw images of her son being sexually assaulted. Prosecutors say Adam told the boy at the time of the assault that if he told anyone, Adam would stop giving him gifts. A statement from the Attorney General of the Dominican Republic said the child's mother stated that the defendant told her to leave the child with him to spend more time alone with him and to sign a paper stating if anything happened to her, he and his wife would keep the child. Jennifer Martin is the CEO of a nonprofit that helps Canadian children who are sexual assault survivors and says adults requesting alone time with children is a big red flag.
You don't want to be suspicious, but it is a good thing to be aware and maybe ask questions and be aware of those things. Like, why do you want to be alone with my child?
Tracy has also been found guilty of child sex crimes of the same boy. In a statement, Attorney General of the Dominican Republic said Tracy Lynn Pepper is also accused of touching the child and recording sexual images of the child with another 13-year-old girl, for which she was also accused by her aunt, who stated that Platt told her if she dared to say what he did to her, he would kill her and her family. In April 2021, the Peppers' home was raided and police seized cameras with images of minors involved in sexual acts on them. The pair was sentenced in the Dominican Republic on December 4th. Adam was given 7 years in prison, and his wife Tracy was sentenced to 5 years. Tracy is also banned from teaching, suspended from work for 5 years, and banned from leaving the country. Gospel Chapel in the Brokery says Adam and Tracy volunteered with their youth staff for several years, sometime between 2008 and 2012. Its lead pastor says they are reaching out to staff about the couple.
And keep your eyes open. You know, abusers can be any age, ethnicity, sexual orientation. They may seem friendly and great with kids.
Adam and Tracy have both been ordered to pay money and criminal proceeding costs.
Taylor, what should parents do if they think their child may have been sexually abused?
Yeah, that's a good question, Marilee. So Little Warrior says to ask general questions, not leading questions. And if something does come up, there is a legal obligation, actually, to report that to Child Family Services and the authorities. It also suggests parents check out their website for free prevention information.
Learning new information about a teacher arrested last month on more than a dozen child porn charges. Bay County detectives say they found hundreds of images of child sexual abuse in 56-year-old Brian McKay's Bayou George home. They say there's no indication he produced the materials. A forensic analysis is being done. Investigators say that could lead to more charges. After getting many viewer comments, we wanted to find out more about McKay's history with our local schools. News Channel 7's Candace Newman joins us now with this special investigative report. Candace?
Nisa, News Channel 7 made a public records request for McKay's personnel file. We reviewed about 200 documents showing McKay's employment with the district since 2013. It revealed he'd been fired twice and his contract was not renewed several times, but he continued to be rehired multiple times. The file contained documentation of what appeared to be a disciplinary notice from 2013 when Brian McKay worked at Bay High School as a substitute. It stated he was advised that his performance was less than satisfactory due to inappropriate class management. In 2018, he was not recommended to continue teaching at Merritt Brown Middle School for the 2018-2019 school year. He resigned from Mowat Middle School in October of 2019, citing he disliked the disrespect of the 8th grade students. Also in 2019, a note in his file indicated he wanted to be a temp instructor. His teacher's contract was also not renewed in April of 2022 at Merritt Brown Middle School for a second time. Then May of 2022, Department of Children and Families investigated claims that he repeatedly touched a student's thigh at Merritt Brown Middle School. In the investigative summary, it says there appears to be a consistent pattern of inappropriate behavior, but no clear disclosures of sexual abuse. Law enforcement did not pursue charges. He was fired from Jinx Middle School in September of 2022. He worked a single day on November 1st of 2022 when he was fired as a paraprofessional at Cedar Grove Elementary. This September, the State Education Practices Commission reprimanded him for a Walton County charge of loitering and prowling, a charge the courts dropped. When he was arrested for child porn, he was teaching 3rd grade at Tommy Smith Elementary School. Now, we asked Bay District Schools to interview with us and specifically asked why McKay was rehired after being terminated or his contract not being renewed multiple times. The Director of Communications with Bay District Schools, Sharon McCulloch, told us they can't comment on the ongoing investigation and sent us a written statement that we'll post on our website. Nisa?
All right, thank you, Candace. Now, McKay is set to be arraigned where he will enter a plea for 20 child porn charges on February 5th.
Hi, how are you? Bruce LaShan.
The judge says Shanteri Weems took the law into her own hands. But she says she snapped, and some supporters see her as a kind of avenging angel, seeking justice for horrible crimes against children.
I was emotional.
Her backers were stunned last month when a judge slapped the 50-year-old with a 4-year sentence, twice what even prosecutors recommended in a plea deal.
Despite my surroundings, I'm doing okay. I have a lot of supporters and people who uplift me and help me survive.
Prosecutors have charged her husband, James Weems, with 33 counts of rape and child sex crimes. He's awaiting trial, and his lawyer is declining to comment.
Don't let them sweep this under the rug. The man is still alive. And
right from the start, the internet was filled with support for Weems under the hashtag #FreeShanteri. She shot her husband, a retired cop, twice in his room at what was then D.C.'s Mandarin Oriental Hotel, where he was staying while providing security at the Urban League convention. The judge said her attack on her husband was premeditated, not spontaneous, that police had told her days earlier that they were investigating him, and they'd shut down her little kid's castle in Baltimore County while they looked into the allegations of child sexual abuse.
The only person I had to find out information from was my husband. And he kept saying he didn't do it.
And you believed him?
I did believe him.
But then, she says, the mother of one of the children, a child she'd loved and cared for years, said they had to talk.
I saw the pain in her face, and I knew that she was not lying. She finally said it was my husband.
You think about that child all the time?
All the time. I think about all the children all the time.
You felt this complete betrayal of trust?
I was totally broken. I felt like the blood had just drained out of my body because, again, this is my husband. I trusted him fully. He was supposed to help me protect these children. He always told me he was my protector. So when I heard this, I just felt like my world had just ended.
She took her first drink in 20 years, and according to prosecutors, texted her business partner, "I'm going to kill him and then myself." She drove to the hotel and angrily confronted him.
I snapped. I'm not a violent person. I was totally broken. I felt like the blood had just drained out of my body.
At first, Shanteri Weems says, she did not believe the allegations that her husband, a former cop, had abused children at her daycare, Little Kids Castle.
We were both supposed to be on this crusade of saving children, and child molestation is something that we talked about all the time.
About how horrible it was.
How horrible it was, yes.
But then, the mother of one of the children, a child she had loved and cared for like her own, told her what the little one had told the police.
I saw the pain in her face, and I knew that she was not lying.
She had her first drink in 20 years. Prosecutors say she texted her business partner and friend, "I'm going to kill him, and then myself." And then she drove to D.C.'s then Mandarin Oriental Hotel, where James Weems was working security at a conference, and she confronted him.
The situation was kind of like a fire. He was fuel, I was fuel. We poured that fuel in the fire, and it just blew up. we got to arguing, fussing, and one thing led to another.
How could you bring yourself to pull the trigger on your own husband?
I snapped. I'm not a violent person.
The first shot was in the neck.
Yes.
And then you shot him in the leg.
Yes.
So you had to think about it between those two shots, right?
No.
You didn't think about it?
No.
The judge made a lot of this issue. He suggested that you were out to intentionally maim and cause long-term pain to your husband.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you meant to do?
No.
You thought about killing yourself?
I did. I feel I let my family down. I feel I let my families, those kids down. I do. I think I just trusted the wrong person.
You said at the hearing that you were sorry.
I regret it.
Would you go so far as to apologize to your husband?
I would apologize to him when he apologized to those children.
Weems filed for divorce late last month. She has been cooperating with investigators who have charged her husband with molesting 4 different children, boys and girls, 9, 10, and 11 years old.
I think about all the children all the time.
And she hopes when she gets out of prison in about 4 years to start a nonprofit to fight child abuse.
And I'm definitely going to make a great batch of lemonade from these lemons that I've been dealt.
Weems's lawyer has just filed a motion asking the judge to reconsider her 4-year sentence. At the D.C. Department of Corrections, Bruce LaShan, WUSA 9.
It was almost 10 years ago that William Stevenson was released right here in Placer County. And we heard from Carlos Hernandez, who said the second that Stevenson moved nearby, his neighborhood that was filled with children playing outside felt like a ghost town. And he says it's not the worst thing that happened.
He would watch him play. And he would be peeking out the window. Our kids would go in the backyard and they were like, "Dad, this guy's looking at us. He's peeking out the window."
Hitting too close to home, a fitting statement for Roseville resident Carlos Hernandez and his family when they got a new neighbor in 2014.
He moved in there, that we were reassured that he was going to be full security 24 hours a day.
He being William Stevenson, a man who served decades of prison time for violent sex offenses.
He's a human being also, and he made mistakes. We understand that, but those mistakes don't just get wiped out.
It was during that time in Roseville in 2014 that Stevenson was found with child pornography. Almost a decade later, Stevenson is set to be released back in Placer County, where he reoffended.
We understand and respect the decision, even though we disagreed with it.
It's been 2 years into the court ordering Stevenson's conditional transient release. Placer County District Attorney Morgan Geyer points out how Liberty Health and the Department of State Hospitals has had no luck yet.
They do their own internal vetting of the property before they inform the Housing Committee. I think the sooner the Housing Committee knows the location, the sooner they can vet that property and determine whether or not it's appropriate, rather than just finding that out every couple of months at a meeting.
And in about a couple months, another Housing Committee meeting set to take place. The Department of State Hospitals and Liberty Health sharing in court Monday that after over 1,500 property searches in Placer County, 112 new ones since the last hearing, they may have a lead on one.
I'm skeptical. I'm skeptically optimistic that this property will work out, but we've been in this position before.
Which is why Stevenson's public defender asked again for the judge to grant his client release into a hotel or a motel, the defense telling Fox 40 that his client is willing to even have security monitor him. The judge denying that request once more.
I understand the defense's request, but even the court today said the finding of good cause for Mr. Stevenson to be maintained in the Department of State Hospitals will continue until we reach a point that the judge has no other option, but the Housing Committee continues to work to make sure that that doesn't happen.
And we hear that the next court hearing is set for February 5th. Also, the DA says that the site assessment for that prospective property is set for the next couple weeks. Also, we did reach out to the Department of State Hospitals about today's proceedings. They say due to state and federal privacy laws for patients, they cannot comment on Stevenson's case at this time. Live in Placer County, covering local news that matters, Kristen Barton, Fox 40 News.
A Springville man who was working as a nurse at Oshai Children's Hospital is facing child porn charges tonight that carry at least 5 years in prison and as much as 20. The U.S. Attorney's Office tells us multiple child porn images were traced back to 46-year-old Eric Heimdall Monson of Springville. A search of his house turned up nearly a dozen items, including a phone that had several videos containing minors on it. Oshai said in a statement he was immediately suspended when police notified them about an investigation, and he was fired today after he was arrested. He's being held until a hearing this Thursday.
This isn't a classroom, instead a courtroom where Pioneer Union Elementary School principal Boyd Holler appeared before an El Dorado County Superior Court judge. He pleaded not guilty to the 8 felonies, 4 counts of showing pornography to a minor, 4 more counts for contact with a minor for sexual offense. The district attorney writes in the court document that despite Holler's outward appearance as a pillar in the educational community, he has a sexual interest in children that he has kept hidden for some time. Court records show Holler was on the messaging app Kik when he met who he believed was a 12-year-old girl from Philadelphia. She sent photos that the DA says were clearly pictures of a minor. Records show from Holler's principal office, Pollock Pines home, and a store, he sent pornographic videos and naked pictures of himself. He made plans to visit the girl over Thanksgiving break and described in, quote, gross detail all the sexual things he planned to do to her at a hotel. Documents also reveal in the messaging app with the girl, he bragged about seeing 10 of his own students topless in his school office, and that he would have his students be topless in exchange for no detention. In another conversation with a minor from the UK, he said another student touched him in his office. The Pioneer Union superintendent sent a note to parents earlier this week saying the lead investigator told him no students from the district have been identified that are related to the incidents. The DA says the investigation is ongoing and is asking the community to come forward with any information that could be connected to the principal, who they call a child predator posing as a child advocate for at least a decade. Holler is being held here at the El Dorado County Jail on no bail, and the DA wants it to stay that way, saying he is a flight risk. They also say if he's out of jail, he could possibly molest a child. And they also say he could hurt himself, having made those comments saying he could lose his wife or his job over these allegations. Reporting in El Dorado County, Michelle Bandur, KCRA 3 News.
And prior to his role at Pioneer Elementary, Holler was the principal at Gold Trail School in the summer of 2017. Before that, he was a teacher at a school in Camino and later became the school's administrator and assistant principal. Holler is expected back in court later this month, October 27th, for a bail review.
A 24-year-old Fortville man was charged after police found over 25 files of child sexual abuse material in his possession. This is 24-year-old Brandon Douglas Nelson. He thought he could get away with the material using Snapchat, but little did he know that our heroes, the Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force, was all over him. Through the IP information and Google Analytics, the police tracked down the subscriber of his email account and snagged and bagged him. Nelson admitted to creating the Gmail account associated with the child porn uploads when he was 12 or 13 years old for gaming purposes. He added that he had viewed child pornography a handful of times through the Tumblr application. Nelson also admitted that he had hidden applications on his phone, but no hidden files. According to the probable cause, police also found child pornography on an SD card seized from Nelson's home, and when asked if he had downloaded the images, he stated, "Probably." Nelson was charged with 12 counts of child sexual abuse material possession with an aggravating factor level 5 felony, and 13 counts of possession of child pornography, a level 6 felony. A jury trial for this chomo is scheduled for April 16th of 24.
County deputies are searching for a man named Zachary Loveless. He is wanted for a very long list of crimes. You see him here. So take a look at your screen. These are just some of the charges we're listing for you. Loveless is accused of assaulting a female and a child under 12 years old. He's also wanted for 2 counts of strangulation and breaking and entering. In total, this man is wanted on at least 13 charges. Deputies have not said if any of the alleged offenses are related or where Loveless could be. So if you see him, please call 911.
In Marion County, 6 men are facing charges accused of having child sex abuse materials, and one of those men is a teacher in Lake County. Deputies say these 6 men here were identified by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for having the child sexual abuse material. A 4-day sting operation followed that report. In this sting, law enforcement knocked on their doors, confronted these people, and asked if they could search their electronic devices.
In this case, our detectives made contact with these 6 individuals, and they decided, yeah, I'll let you look. And maybe they hoped that law enforcement wouldn't find what they had on their phones or their other devices or anything like that. But in their case, we knew where to look, and we located it.
All of the people arrested are facing several counts of possessing child pornography. And one of the men, this man here, Michael Kozierowski, is a teacher and volleyball coach at Eustis Middle School in Lake County. The school district says the board determines all terminations, and their next meeting is Monday.
A D.C. man is behind bars accused of soliciting a child through social media. Fairfax County police arrested Brian Dolan after being tipped off by that child's parents. They told police that someone was using Snapchat to send their child explicit images. That person also tried to meet their child at a nearby shopping center. Investigators were able to trace those Snapchat messages back to Dolan and took him into custody. He's being held without bond, but police are concerned that there may be more victims, and they're asking anyone with additional information to give them a call. That number is at the bottom of your screen.
A former Cypress Cove Elementary Teacher of the Year has resigned after Texas deputies found child pornography on his computer. 29-year-old Kenneth Esprit, who most recently worked as a music teacher in Klein, Texas, was employed at an elementary school music teacher for a Calcasieu Parish School Board from 2016 to 2020. Esprit was arrested in September on charges of possessing child pornography and using illegal drugs. He subsequently resigned from his position.
A former Iowa State football player, Aiden Ralph, will be sentenced today. Ralph was found guilty of third-degree sexual abuse and assault causing bodily injury last month. He's accused of shoving his girlfriend into a set of stairs, refusing to call for medical services, and raping her. Ralph will learn his sentence this morning.
College Station, Texas. A 33-year-old Brazos County man has been taken into custody for possession of child sexual abuse material. The Brazos County Sheriff's Office assisted the Pflugerville Police Department Friday morning with the execution of their arrest and search warrant for child sexual abuse material at a home located in College Station. This is Marvin D. Glenn Dawson. He was taken into custody at that time. During the execution of the search warrant, investigators with the Sheriff's Office discovered Dawson had additional images of child pornography. The investigation is still ongoing, and additional charges, of course, may be filed. The Sheriff's Office says further updates will be provided as the investigation continues. The sex offender hit list will have this information as it becomes available.
Family of 3 Chicago public school students is suing CPS after they say the children were sexually abused by their gym teacher. They say school officials did not do enough to stop it when they learned of the allegations.
For over 5 years, our clients, students at a Chicago public schools, endured grooming and sexual abuse by a teacher, a person entrusted with their education and safety.
We shouldn't be counting the ways that a school system ignore the signs and abuse and enable a predator to groom 10, 11, and 12-year-old boys.
36-year-old Andrew Castro is charged with predatory criminal sexual assault and sexual exploitation of a child. He was teaching at Federico Garcia Lorca Elementary School in 2018 when the victims say the assaults began. One alleged victim was just 10 years old. Lawyers for the family say Castro took the children to his house and that other staff members knew about it.
An Edmond man has bonded out of jail after being arrested on allegations of sharing child porn. Police say Kyle Wendland is the fourth person to be arrested on similar charges since October. News 4's Kaylee Olivas has the new details.
Well, despite the increasing number of child pornography-related arrests, Edmond police don't believe the cases are tied to one another. 23-year-old Kyle Wendland, with no criminal history, booked into the Oklahoma County Detention Center Wednesday on a felony child pornography charge.
This came through as a cyber tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
The initial flag reportedly came from an Instagram representative. Court records reveal the picture tagged as possible child pornography showed a young girl between the age of 8 and 10 in a sexual position. The photo, sent to another social media user in mid-March. Once Edmond police were notified, detectives searched his apartment and uncovered more.
The number one thing they found were numerous photos on the individual's cell phone.
This probable cause affidavit says Wendland admitted to having a sexual attraction to young girls. The document further accuses him of sending and receiving child pornography through several social media apps.
It appears right now that he's just has possession of the photographs and is not creating, not manufacturing.
In Edmond, Kaylee Olivas, Oklahoma's News 4.
And according to DHS, between October 2022 and September of this year, they've been involved in more than 880 child sexual abuse cases. That is 63 less than the previous year.
And a man in Liberty is facing 20 counts of child sex crimes. U.S. Marshals arrested Robert Cavender. According to investigators, they got a tip back in October about possible sexual assaults on children. Eventually, warrants were put out for Cavender, and he was arrested on multiple counts of statutory sex offense with a child, indecent liberties with a child, and one count of statutory rape of a child. He is being held under a $250,000 bond.
A former police officer is heading to prison after pleading guilty to distributing child sex abuse materials. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the evidence revealed in November of 2020, an undercover FBI agent discovered a group had folders containing the videos. The IP address was linked to a home in Conway. After a search, Douglas Purdick confessed to sharing the videos. A judge sentenced Purdick to 5 years in prison and to pay $9,000 in restitution to those victims.
A Saline County man is heading to prison for physically and sexually harming a toddler. 24-year-old Tyler Lewis was sentenced Friday to 60 years in prison. He also has to register as a sexual predator for the rest of his life. Lewis was convicted of assaulting an 8-month-old child. The baby had bite marks and cigarette burns. Investigators also found tearing and bleeding in the baby's mouth and genitals.
4 people are dead, 1 person hurt following a multiple murder-suicide in the Northwest Valley. Thank you for joining us at 4 o'clock. I'm Brian Loftus.
And I'm Vanessa Murphy. 2 of those killed are children. The 8 News Now investigators have some breaking information about the shooter. But first, Kyle Payne is back from the crime scene at Durango in the 95 with a look at what happened. Kyle.
Brian, Vanessa, police got the call around 10 this morning. Someone came to the apartment building to check on their brother and saw bodies throughout the home.
He made entry into the house and observed several individuals inside the house suffering from gunshot wounds. He immediately stepped out, called 911.
And these police from Northwest Area Command responded right away, closing off the complex known as the Loretta and Palacio Apartments. Metro's mobile command unit was soon to follow, obscuring the tremendous police presence behind the apartment complex's gate and 2 layers of crime scene tape. Dozens of uniformed police outside Building 9, where witnesses heard shots fired earlier in the morning. Some of those police combing the grounds, others canvassing the nearby apartments to find out what neighbors saw and heard. Neighbors like 19-year-old Isis Perez, who heard screaming and loud banging.
I didn't know it could have been gunshots until the cop came at the door.
And he came, and what did he ask you?
He asked me if there were any gunshots or shrapnel coming from the ceiling, and he asked if I had noticed or heard anything.
Perez, understandably shaken up, also says she heard slamming car doors, which she says may have actually been the police, who told administrators at the elementary school right down the street that they weren't in any danger. Still, the school put itself on soft lockdown, which was news to this parent who was picking up his first grader.
Not the information you want to be receiving when your daughter's in school.
Definitely not, especially with what happened and how many people were involved.
The one person not killed, police say, is clinging to life at UMC. And now back to the studio and Vanessa Murphy with more on the man who is said to have shot the family.
Yeah, Kyle, sources identifying the shooter this afternoon as Marvin Patterson were learning he was on house arrest, accused of sex crimes against children, and his bail had been reduced from $100,000 to $10,000. We dug into court records. He was charged with 9 felony counts, including sexual assault against a child, lewdness with a child, and kidnapping. A pro tem judge, meaning a fill-in, first set his bail at $100,000. Then Las Vegas Justice Court Judge Diana Sullivan reduced it to $10,000. He was on high-level electronic monitoring, think of like those ankle monitors, and was set to go on trial next year.
This is Eric Vaughn Brown. He's my neighbor. He was convicted of third-degree child sexual assault and only spent 14 months behind bars. He lives kitty corner from my backyard so he can look out his window and see my children playing. His crime was with a victim in his own family under the age of 13. He works from home, so he's there all day long, but yet he drives a white work van with no side or back windows. I found this out by checking my local sex offender registry. Shouldn't this make you check yours?
Ponchatoula man is behind bars on child pornography charges, according to deputies. The Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office tells us 73-year-old Robert Pepitone was arrested for 4 counts of pornography involving juveniles. Deputies tell us the arrest came after a search warrant led to the discovery of pornography involving juveniles under the age of 13. Pepitone was then booked into the Tangipahoa Parish Jail.
Details on the man seen carrying a long gun outside 2 Austin schools as well as the public library.
On Friday, police named him as Isaiah Xavier Smith, and they told us he was arrested on child indecency charges. Austin ISD officials are holding a meeting tonight to inform parents at Aikens High School about his time as a tutor this semester. According to AISD officials, Smith started in September of this year and tutored for nearly 2 months. But on October 25th, AISD says it cut off access to campus for him after a student alleged Smith touched him inappropriately during a tutoring session.
Now, AISD has been investigating Smith since then, and while they were doing that, according to police, Smith was spotted multiple times outside the public library and at 2 Austin schools with a long gun strapped to his chest. And today, the Texas Juvenile Justice Department confirmed he worked as a volunteer there starting in May 2021 for over a year.
And they said he also worked as a juvenile corrections officer at the Giddings State School for 6 weeks, starting in August of 2022. He is currently not facing charges for standing near those schools with a weapon. That's because in Texas, a person is able to legally carry a gun openly in public without a permit. But a defense attorney we spoke with told us in Texas that law states you cannot carry a gun in a manner, quote, calculated to alarm. We did reach out to Smith's court-appointed attorney by phone. So far, we have not yet heard back.
Dana, thank you. We'll see you in a bit. A man from Lisbon Falls is in custody tonight facing child exploitation charges.
Maine State Police say the Computer Crimes Unit responded to execute a search warrant at a home on Ridge Road. After finding evidence there, police arrested Joseph Gibson. The Department of Public Safety says there was a soft lockdown at a school nearby and a road was closed down out of an abundance of caution. State officials say there is no threat to the public or to the school. Lisbon Police and agents from Homeland Security also responded.
On Thursday, December 7th, detectives with the Monroe Police Department charged George Palma with 4 additional crimes relating to a previous sexual assault investigation at the Union Soccer Academy in Monroe, North Carolina. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, we had this guy up here on the sex offender hit list. Well, when there's one victim, there's usually more, and that just happened to be the case here. The additional 4 charges include statutory sex offense with a child 15 years old or younger, indecent liberties with a child, and 2 counts of sexual battery. Mr. Palma was arrested and given a $75,000 bond and has since been released from the Union County Jail again. Palma was previously arrested on October 24th of 23 and charged with 2 counts of indecent liberties of a child and obstruction of justice and alter or destroying evidence of criminal conduct, and he bonded out back then. Detectives still believe there may be more victims. Sickness.
Move it.
Daniel Posdahl.
Chicago, Illinois, is among the largest cities in the U.S. famed for its bold architecture. It has a skyline punctuated by skyscrapers. Hidden among this vast architecture is a man named Daniel Posdahl. Danny, as he liked to refer to himself, is a 65-year-old painter living in Chicago. Danny used the World Wide Web to reach out to a 13-year-old girl. Sexual grooming refers to actions or behaviors used to establish an emotional connection with a minor, to lower the child's inhibitions with the objective of sexual abuse. It can occur in various settings, including online. Danny used sexual grooming in an attempt to receive inappropriate conversations and pictures of this young girl. Danny would compliment the child and turn very sexual. He was very eager to show her his genitalia. He would use video calls to show this little girl his penis. Danny used terms like study session to normalize sexuality and try to get the young girl to sexually pleasure herself. I'll let you hear for yourself some calls Danny had with this 13-year-old girl.
I got something yummy for you. Yummy, yummy, yummy in my tummy. Come on. No, you make me happy. Yeah. Okay, lesson 1. Do you have your panties down? Pull them down.
Can.
Are they down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Get your fingers over there. Just don't even put them in all the way. Just rub your outside.
How old are you again?
Rub ya. I mean, how old am I? I feel younger. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. 50s. But here, listen. What are you doing now?
Just wondering how old you are.
Right. Okay. Let's just continue. Okay. Okay. He's laughing. Okay. So you rubbing the outside of your vagina? You didn't put your fingers in yet, did you?
No, I'm picking my nose and eating my boogers. It's so crunchy.
Oh boy.
You're like a substitute teacher. I can just pull one over you.
I'm pulling my penisaurus. I'm rubbing it for you.
Oh really?
Yeah, I want to get it nice and hard for you. Okay, get your fingers down.
Oh wow, that was a slimy one. You should try yours. It's very yummy.
Now I want to lick you.
Danny knew what he was doing was wrong. Danny's desire for a child was too strong to allow him to stop. Danny is yet another example that monsters do exist. Please check your children's devices. You never know where in the world monsters like Danny are hiding.
Muskogee County Sheriff's Office investigator Corey Joseph Brand has been arrested in Russell County on a possession with the intent to disseminate child pornography charge. Sheriff Greg Countryman announcing the arrest on his Facebook page, and he said he did it in the spirit of transparency. This is what Countryman had to say about the matter. Quote, "This type of criminal behavior is absolutely unacceptable. We will continue to work in collaboration with our federal and local partners on this case. This is still an ongoing investigation that may result in criminal charges."
Well, a man in Nacogdoches County will be spending life in prison, sentenced for continuous sexual abuse of a child. Theodore Earlin was booked into the Nacogdoches County Jail in March of last year. His trial began on Monday this week, and he was found guilty Thursday, later being sentenced to life in prison.
On Thursday, December 7th, detectives with the Monroe Police Department charged George Palma with 4 additional crimes relating to a previous sexual assault investigation at the Union Soccer Academy in Monroe, North Carolina. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, we had this guy up here on the sex offender hit list. Well, when there's one victim, there's usually more, and that just happened to be the case here. The additional 4 charges include statutory sex offense with a child 15 years old or younger, indecent liberties with a child, and 2 counts of sexual battery. Mr. Palma was arrested and given a $75,000 bond and has since been released from the Union County Jail again. Palma was previously arrested on October 24th of 23 and charged with 2 counts of indecent liberties of a child and obstruction of justice and alter or destroying evidence of criminal conduct, and he bonded out back then. Detectives still believe there may be more victims. Sickness.
Man from the East is in jail without bond after police say that he raped a girl. 36-year-old Anthony Wilson of New Bern is charged with statutory rape of a person 15 years of age or younger. New Bern police said that they began their investigation on Friday after getting a report of a sexual assault of a child.
Ponchatoula man is behind bars on child pornography charges, according to deputies. The Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office tells us 73-year-old Robert Pepitone was arrested for 4 counts of pornography involving juveniles. Deputies tell us the arrest came after a search warrant led to the discovery of pornography involving juveniles under the age of 13. Pepitone was then booked into the Tangipahoa Parish Jail.
Well, the woman accused of recording a 13-year-old being sexually abused and posting it online will begin her jury trial tomorrow. Urelis Cespedes is facing 5 felony charges and 1 misdemeanor harassment charge. She was also recently caught at Coronado Mall shoplifting more than $3,000 worth of merchandise and had been caught doing fentanyl, a direct violation of her release conditions. After review of her case, the state decided to revoke her release, and she has been in custody since last month. The trial starts tomorrow at 8:30 a.m.
The aftermath clearly visible as the alleged squatters' furniture is out on full display. We spoke with neighbors who say they started noticing things weren't right when more people started showing up at the home and staying overnight. Now, they're all on high alert.
Love living on this lake, Lake Meridian. It's, I think, the crown jewel of Kent.
The chill in the air doesn't disrupt the beautiful waterfront views in this Kent neighborhood. But just a few feet away lies a mound of evicted belongings, including a lamp, chairs, blankets, pillows, shoes, and plates. An unsightly surprise for neighbors like Marcus Schaff.
The rumors with the neighbors is that there was squatters at the property.
He, along with other neighbors we spoke with, say they were caught off guard when Kent police showed up Friday. Schaff, like the others in the neighborhood, say they were aware of a big remodeling project being done to a home, but never thought anything of the workers staying overnight.
A little hard for us to know whether they're his subcontractors that are just working there or staying overnight while doing work.
Police say about 10 days ago, the homeowners realized a contractor had changed the locks, had moved his belongings into their home, along with his 35-year-old girlfriend from Yelm, and were refusing to let them in.
Didn't see a woman at all, actually.
They called police, but the pair allegedly refused to come to the door and communicate. Officers entered the home with the homeowner's permission and arrested the two for squatting. Turns out the contractor lied about his name. When his fingerprints were scanned, police say the 45-year-old had a $500,000 warrant for rape of a minor out of Idaho.
Definitely don't want that around here.
Officers say they also found a shotgun with no serial number inside the home. The work trailer he was allegedly driving had a stolen plate. Both were recovered by police.
Highly concerning.
Both of them have been arrested for trespassing. The man will be extradited to Idaho. But the big reminder from police, vet your contractor. Remember, you can always go through the Washington Department of Licensing or through the Better Business Bureau. In Kent, Alejandra Guzman, Fox 13 News.
One arrest leads to 14 more in a multi-agency human trafficking operation.
The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office intercepted suspects who allegedly were trying to meet a child on the internet.
Authorities say it is further proof of the dangers young people face online. The Sheriff's Office, police, district attorney, and U.S. Marshals released details of the operation today. WSFA 12 News anchor Rosanna Smith has more. Rosanna?
Mark, what these 15 men are accused of trying to do is disturbing. Investigators say they thought they were going to meet up with a child for sex, but instead came face to face with law enforcement.
And they agreed to pay to engage in sexual acts with individuals that they believe to be children.
The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office says these 15 men are no longer a threat to the community. Officers say it was part of a joint operation that took months of planning.
These suspects then traveled to designated locations to engage in these unlawful sexual acts.
Officers arrested them on the spot. They are charged with attempted human trafficking, electronic solicitation of a child, and traveling to meet a child for sex.
Children of Montgomery are a little safer today. because of the work of these law enforcement professionals that stand behind me.
District Attorney Darrell Bailey says his office will continue to work to make sure these 15 men are held accountable.
And getting the bad guys off the street is something that we need to do and that we're going to continue to do.
And while law enforcement says they are working every day to protect families, parents must also take action.
We talk about cell phones, that being one of the most dangerous things in a child's hand. We want to respect their privacy, but let me say this to a child: if you do not look and see what they are doing online, like I said, it is that open door.
The sheriff's office says while they were able to charge these 15, there are more people out there with thoughts of harming children. Sheriff Derek Cunningham says they will be relentless in conducting more sting operations like this one. Mark?
All right, Rosanna, thank you. The suspects range in age from 21 to 50. So far, 5 of them have posted bond and have been released. You can read more at WSFA.com.
An Oconee County man facing charges for sexual exploitation of a minor. Deputies arrested 42-year-old Bobby Joe Davis on Friday. They say Davis faces a slew of charges, among them criminal sexual conduct with a minor and assault and battery. Deputies say both victims were sexually assaulted between 2013 and 2023 when the victims were children or teenagers.
City council members are elected officials that run a city, a town, borough, or other municipal legislative body. They create policies to govern their districts and make sure that any current or new laws serve the needs of the people who live and work there. So what happens if there is corruption within the board? What happens when a member of the board is deceitful or may have his or her own agenda? It's a scary thought due to the fact that if someone like that were on the city council, then they would have the opportunity to change or influence the way things would normally work. Well, that's exactly what happened here. Let's take a look.
So, did a registered sex offender really get sworn into the board? And what happened when his fellow members found out? Well, here's KTLA's Chris Wolf with that answer.
I was an enlisted Marine, then got my commission in the Navy.
What if we told you the man standing before this panel, the man who'd be appointed to the Studio City Neighborhood Council, which advises and works with Los Angeles city leaders and also youth volunteers, may be this man, a convicted and registered sex offender?
It's fairly shocking to learn that a registered sex offender can sit on a neighborhood council board.
Is your name Ian Mitchell King?
Yes.
Ian Mitchell King from Studio City. The address he submitted on documents to the board is the same address of an Ian Mitchell King listed on the California Megan's Law website. The convicted sex offender served 13 years in prison for sexually assaulting a young woman while on duty as a cop, a school police officer. KTLA reviewed records, government documents, the Megan's Law registry, and contacted the Los Angeles School Police and State Department of Corrections. King was paroled in August 2021 after serving his full sentence as defined by law. But if this is King, the convicted sex offender, he avoided any mention of his criminal status during the Q&A process with the Studio City Neighborhood Council. Were you ever in law enforcement?
No.
The meeting proceeded, the members voted yes, and Ian King took his seat on the council. But it would not be for long. Turns out, 2 members of the panel learned about King's alleged criminal record just hours before he was set to officially join them at the table. Kim Clements was first to make the discovery and immediately alerted the board president.
Found an article, and a very alarming article. I didn't even know if it was the same person. I was just stunned.
The board president contacted higher level officials and the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office for guidance and received responses filled with legalese and warnings against harassment and defamation.
Felt bound by what little advice we got about the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment welcomes the formerly incarcerated. The word yes came out of my mouth, and it's what just plagued me.
After learning about their new colleague's alleged criminal past, 11 out of 14 members resigned.
Oddly enough, I feel the real criminal
in this situation is the city.
This former councilwoman does not want to be identified.
We felt the only thing we could do was to resign, to have the board collapse so that no harm could be done to anyone.
She was unaware of Ian King's sex offender status when she voted in his favor. And she explains she had recently recruited 2 teenage girls onto the council through a youth program.
I definitely feel blindsided and I feel unsafe.
We tried repeatedly to reach out to the man at the center of the controversy, at his home, on the phone, online, but have been unsuccessful.
If I had known, I would have said, well, Mr. King, I know that you were in prison and you just got out. Is it against your parole to be around young women?
The members of the committee were free to vote no. They could have asked him, are you a registered sex offender? Did you in fact work for law enforcement? Why were you terminated?
As it currently stands, they welcome the formerly incarcerated. However, that doesn't really work out in the real world.
So where do we stand right now? Ian Mitchell King never admitted to being a registered sex offender or a police officer. And as you just saw, he never answered any of our multiple requests for comment. The city is well aware of what's going on and is now trying to get a council back into place in Studio City. In the meantime, many are asking, how is it even possible that it's legal for a registered sex offender to be on a city board?
That's not the end of the story as far as I'm concerned. So first, let's clarify that there is no doubt that this is the same person. I pulled up his profile. Now we have a side-by-side comparison which leaves no doubt whatsoever that yes, this is the same person. What kind of bothered me and made me think of why he would want to be on the council is another issue I have with Mr. King here. His profile states that he helps business leaders and organizations navigate challenges and execute solutions that empower prosperity. I'm reading between the lines and it may be a little far-fetched, but it seriously makes me wonder what kind of agenda that he really had in mind. What kind of people is he trying to help out in the community? Why is he even there? I encourage you guys to leave some comments down below. Tell me what you think.
So with that, on September the 19th to the 25th for 7 days, we did 2 operations at the same time. One was a human trafficking operation that resulted in 219 arrests, and you covered that in the media. The other that was the sexual predator operation that resulted in 6 arrests. These 6 people here. I want you to get a good look at these folks because these are people that thought they were going to come have sex with children. They came to a strange undercover location thinking that they were going to encounter a 13 or a 14 or a 15-year-old child. They're dangerous. If it weren't for the outstanding work of the men and women of law enforcement, they absolutely would have attacked children had it not been an undercover operation. We were joined by our colleagues because no one agency can do this by themselves as successfully as we can working together. The Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Lakeland Police Department, the Hillsborough Sheriff's Office, the Tampa Police Department, and the Lake County Sheriff's Office joined us in this operation. And as a result, we took some very, very bad people off the street. So I want to introduce you to them. I want you to see what a pedophile looks like. I want you to see what someone looks like in some of the words that they say whenever they're caught thinking they're going to have sex with children. The first one is Douglas Cooley. He's 26. He's from Apopka. He's employed by the Discover Aftercare. You see, this is a program that is on the Orange County School District's property. To be specific, the Clay Springs Elementary School, where aftercare is provided to children. He worked in that program with children. And now he shows up at an undercover operation to have sex with a very young teenage girl. He thought he was going to meet this 15-year-old as a result of a bad stepmom operation. That's right. He was going to pay stepmom to have sex with a 15-year-old. I'd like to underscore that this program that he worked for is a contractor or a vendor, not the school employees, but a contracted service to the Orange County school system. So he thought he was going to meet this 15-year-old little girl and have sex because the bad stepmom arranged it. He was going to pay for it. He said that, I'm interested, but is she the only girl you have? Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said? He wanted to know if this was the only girl that they had. And then our suspect, Douglas, asked the stepmom, are you her pimp? The child's 15 years of age. He traveled to this location. He was also charged with human trafficking as well. Oh, he was wearing a DARE t-shirt. For those of you who are not familiar, DARE is a program that's taught to teach children how to be safe and to resist drugs. He was wearing that t-shirt. He's currently in our jail. He said, my life's over. Kinda. We plan to send you to prison for a very, very long time. What you did was a serious felony, but because of the work of our detectives, and I brag on them because they're simply the very best, that night, it wasn't a real child that he was able to groom and convince that it's all right to come over, or it wasn't a real stepmom that was offering up her stepdaughter for sex. He didn't know that, but he does now. And then there's Euro Muniz. He's from Kissimmee. He's 40. He was a laborer for Brand Safeway Scaffolding. They fired him. They were not amused. He's married. That's right. He thought he was meeting a 13-year-old child, a little girl, for sex. He said he wanted to teach her how to have sex, but he used much more graphic terms than that. Now, if I told you that, you just bleep it out and wouldn't tell everyone. Some of y'all may even cover up some of these faces, but, you know, shame on you if you do. But when asked, well, what would you do if a man was wanting to do this to your daughters? And we asked that question because we discovered during the interview with him, he had 4 daughters between 9 and 16 years of age. What would you do if a grown man, 40 years of age, wanted to come have sex with your daughters like you wanted to have sex with this 13-year-old? He said, well, if they tried this with my daughters, he said, I would hang them. Well, that's against law. We can't do that. But we can prosecute you and send you to prison for a very long time. But while he would take the ultimate violent act against someone wanting to hurt his daughter, he was doing the same thing to someone else's daughter. By the way, his daughters are being screened as well. He's posted bond, and I find it interesting that he's posted bond. He's out. He's out until court day. But he traveled, and he's also charged with attempted lewd battery. Now, I want to take this a step further. Keep in mind what he said he would do if they did it to his daughters. So why he is grooming what he thinks is a 13-year-old, he sends photos of his little man. Did you hear that? He's a little man. And the little man didn't have any clothes on. It was nasty. It was a nasty little man. But yet, it's okay for him to do that to somebody else's child. Once again, he's locked up. He confessed. He's lost his job, and we intend to do our best to send him to prison. And then there's Trevor Walker. He is a maintenance guy, maintenance tech at a Publix warehouse over in Orange County, Orlando area. He wanted to have unprotected sex for 3 hours with a 15-year-old girl. He went for this bad stepmom deal. He was going to pay her $400, stepmom, so he could have sex. Now, our undercovers talked to this guy for 3 days before he showed up. And you might ask why. Some have to build their nerve up. Most enjoy the pursuit and the grooming as much as they do the sexual encounter. That's what we find a lot with pedophiles. It's the pursuit of their quest as much as it is the sex. He even went so far as to say, well, what would it cost me if I spent all night with a 15-year-old girl? All right, here's his moment to not travel, okay? He's already in trouble for what he said on the computer, but here's his moment. He said, now listen, I don't want to get caught up in any of this Grady Judd Sting business, and I don't want to see Chris Hansen. He got to see both. The Grady Judd Sting and Chris Hansen was there. So he's not only on local television, he's going to be on a program about how he's a pedophile and he's dangerous. And after we caught him and he figured out it was a Grady Judd Sting and Chris Hansen was there to talk to him, he said, well, I made the decision to come here. I'm just stupid. What do you think? Stupid is being nice. You're an absolute moron. He also added that he wanted to have rough sex with his 15-year-old child. He's in jail. There are no 15-year-old children in jail. And this is just a nasty, dangerous person. That's right. Then there's Douglas De Silva of Windermere. Newsflash, I know it's hard for you to believe, but he's illegal from Brazil. He's an Uber driver, and he also cleans houses. I didn't think you could be an Uber driver if you were illegal. You can't take an Uber directly from Brazil here, so they had to hire him after he got here. He's married. He traveled to have sex with what he thought was a 15-year-old female, and he was going to pay $220 for that experience. Once again, he talked to the stepmom. He wanted to have different kinds of sex. Now, we can't go into the details for obvious reasons, but he said, hey, I'll up it from $220, stepmom, to $250, an extra $30 if I can have unprotected sex with this 15-year-old child. He's also charged with human trafficking. He confessed. He's been here 4 years, and he's waiting on his green card. Well, just thinking out loud, I believe even this administration won't give you your green card since you're now on a federal ICE hold. But we'll have to wait and see. He's in jail. We want him to go to prison. And then last but not least, well, no, we have two more actually, but I'll tell you about our veteran. He's an Army veteran. He's currently a student. He was a mechanic in the Army, and he's got his VA benefits, and he was learning to be a Harley-Davidson motorcycle mechanic. You know, it's been my experience that Harley riders are real men. They're not pedophiles. They're not sex predators. And they don't want anybody that's a pedophile or a sex predator working on their Harley. But he wanted to have sex with a 14-year-old. And he made the statement. Okay, are you ready for this? He made the statement. I don't know who made him a great historian. If this were 200 years ago, our age difference wouldn't make any difference at all. Well, it's 200 years later, and it makes a lot of difference to us. He confessed. He's currently in jail. But here's the thing that amazed me. He just moved to Davenport from Kentucky. I got to welcome him to Polk County when we arrested him. And on the way, while he was traveling to have sex with a child, he called his 5-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy up in Kentucky to wish him good night. So he's wishing them good night while he's on his way to have sex with a child. Look, folks, these folks all have a hitch in their giddy-up. They're not good people. Now here's our last one. Ferris Cleese. He's married. He has adult children. He's an Uber driver. He's on public assistance, and he wanted to have sex with a 14-year-old female. Now he told us he was on public assistance. That's how we know. So did you take some of that government money that we all paid taxes with to have sex with a female, put gas in the car, or was that extra money? He's Syrian born, he's naturalized, he is legally in this country. And at the end of the day, he made this prolific. Trust is like a glass. Once broken, it will never be the same again. What's that about? Well, he can trust us that he's locked up in jail and we won't break his glass because he can trust that we're always going to arrest when he does something like this. Now, he has a $26,000 bond, but he's out. So if he didn't use the public assistance money that he said he got that night to get there to have sex with a child, did he use some of that public assistance money to bond out of jail? We don't know. But I find it interesting. He needs to be on public assistance, but he has money to bond out of jail for being a child predator. We will continue these operations. We're going to protect the children, not only of Polk County, of Florida, but around the country and around the world from these kind of deviant actors. That night, they would have all attacked children had it not been an undercover operation and it had been a real child that they managed to groom online. Are there any questions?
I just have a question about the human trafficking charges that half of them are facing.
Yes.
What did they do that led to the human trafficking charge?
The ones that didn't get a human trafficking charge talked directly to the child, groomed the child. The others offered to pay the stepmom to have sex. So that way they were engaged in the human trafficking aspect. Okay. Anything else?
I have a question, Sheriff, just about the apps and the social media sites that you used. Were those popular, like everyday apps that people use? Can you
Certainly.
expand on that?
We don't tell what sites we go on, but unlike child pornography, where people can go to the dark web and make it really difficult for us to figure out who the child pornographers are, to get to children, you got to surface into gaming apps, social media apps, and that's where we find them. Sometimes it's gaming apps. So you've got to be careful, even if you're letting your child on a gaming app online, that they're not being groomed. And if someone that you're playing or the child's playing a game with online wants to all of a sudden talk to them offline from the game, that's a clue. And anytime parents allow children to use social media at all, they've got to monitor it nonstop, because these folks are out here lurking around on these social media apps of different kinds to find your child, to groom your child, to have sex with your child.
Was the Chris Hansen production crew a part of this whole operation?
The Chris Hansen production crew was embedded in this operation. And certainly we offer that opportunity for all of you. Many of you have done this in the past, and you're welcome at any of our operations.
Have you ever been involved with them before in the To Catch a Predator series?
No, not in the To Catch a Predator series. When they were doing the To Catch a Predator series, the processes and systems that they were using with other law enforcement agencies was not one that we would use in our operation. And the way it works with whether we embed you or Chris Hansen and his now To Catch a Predator series, whatever he calls it now, is that he has no interaction with the suspects until after the criminal investigation is complete and they're waiting on transport to the jail. Then we allow him to talk to them. And we'd allow you to do the same thing. Okay? Anything else? Y'all be safe. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Kim isn't going to be able to watch you tonight. Mr. Roberts from next door said you could come to his house.
Mommy, I don't want to go over there.
Mr. Roberts was nice enough to watch you.
Please, Mommy. I don't want to go.
I'm sorry, honey. I don't have anybody else to watch you.
Well, Mommy.
Let's go. I'm running late.
She never listens.
Remember, don't tell anybody about this. I'm not going to believe you anyway. And if you do tell somebody, they're probably going to take you away from your mommy. You're going to be all alone.
Take the time to listen to your child. It only takes a minute. Nothing is more important.